Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads it must converse is the channel. Today I'm just giving you one more story in David Foster Wallace's Oblivion. This is a very short story, maybe 2.5 pages. It's actually one scene. It's called the Incarnations of Burned Children. So it is very heartbreaking and very emotional. So there's your warning. And this is, like I said, one scene. And let's get to it. You might wonder why I have my Bruegel the Master book sitting there. And it is because when we got to where we got, and I say we because I'm joined by Thalo Gray, PG, I ain't fitting to read that, it's his channel, and Andrew, his channel is called Starscream Live, and I will link them down in the description box. They are reading and talking through this with me, and I'll be sharing thoughts that we all have had. Arguably, Andrew did the lion's share of this analysis, and it is beautiful. I think it's very beautiful, the kind of thing that we've gotten to. So these 2 pages or 3 pages are some of the most powerful storytelling that I've ever read in such a short bit. I'm going through Borges' collected fictions right now, and Borges might be a good indicator for how much power you can pack into such a succinct delivery. But David Foster Wallace definitely shines in that way in this story. What we have, just to give a little synopsis, you should read it before watching this, but what we have is the characters are only known as Daddy and Mommy. And we're kind of getting this from the perspective of the child, but not really. It's almost like the child, but the child is outside themselves and looking at the whole scene. And that is brought to full effect in the very last lines of the story. So, they're screaming from the child, a baby, not even a toddler, maybe a toddler, but if a toddler, then maybe only 1 year old. They're screaming from a baby and screaming from the mommy, and the daddy is out back working on a door that he's repairing the hinges on, and he stops and runs inside when he hears the screaming. What has happened is a hot water pot that was boiling, maybe for tea or something, has been pulled over onto the child. They're in the kitchen. Mom is distraught. Baby is screaming. Dad is doing his best to see what the situation even is, and then strip the clothes off and get the baby dry. And it is very heartbreaking, and it is a very tragic event in this family. And what we kind of got out to, and what this story signifies, is that this tragic event in the parents, in this family's life, because this is going to have repercussions in this child's life for the rest of his life. And why? We'll get to it. I don't want to spoil it until I get to the analysis of why. So, what Andrew pulled out, and thank you so much for it, sir, is that this is a story of insignificance in light of something that is so deeply meaningful to you on a personal level. And this event that's happening is very, very significant to this family, but insignificant in the way that it is in the world. Okay? It's going to be another person that has some hindrance, some crippling to their being. And there's people all over that have to deal with that in their day-to-day. And we can be as caring and as attentive and acknowledging that as possible. But ultimately, that person's, it is their own. That person's hindrance or whatever it is their own to have and their own to deal with. So what was brought up is the painting by Bruegel from 1955 called Icarus, or Landscape with the Fall of Icarus. And I'll show it to you right here. So you see the wonderful, masterful painting by Bruegel. And we have the plowman and the ships going out to port, and the guy down here, with tending his sheep, right? And they're all facing this direction. They're all facing to the left of the painting there. And what do we have going on in the right? Right there. Well, there's Icarus falling into the sea and drowning and dying. So, this huge happening that is something that even has effect over, generations and hundreds of years of human history. Icarus falling into the sea because he flew too close to the sun with his waxen wings, right? That happening is completely insignificant in the lives of the plowman and the shepherd and the people on the boat and everybody else in this scene. There's a huge landscape there, and then we have Icarus falling into the sea. It's a masterful painting, and I think gets close to the same type of thing that David Foster Wallace is doing with this story. How David Foster Wallace characterizes this and brings this out is that the door that the dad was repairing at the beginning is now only half repaired, and just keeps banging on the hinges out back or something, right? And it's brought back to, over this 2.5 pages, a couple of times that the door keeps banging on its hinges. And then also that there is a lark in the tree that is crooked head looking at the door that's banging. And these kind of a creature out there, and the object of the door, that are, that the world goes on. The world keeps moving, and ultimately this thing that is so deeply significant is something that, is something that just happens. That it happens. And so it goes, is what Andrew said in the talk, hearkening to Kurt Vonnegut there. And it's just heartbreaking. This is also a tale of inadequacy. And of course that comes out very quickly, because the dad, when he goes in, is internally, you kind of get some of his thoughts, that he is internally blaming the mother, because why didn't she keep the baby safe? What happened? You know what I mean? He wasn't there either. He wasn't there, but she was there, and this happened. And so there's this kind of blaming. And then what happens is, maybe half a page before the end of the story, they've got the baby dry, they think, and the mom is cooing and singing to the baby to try to, calm him down, and the baby is just kind of gone quiet and passive. And the dad is standing there, and the mom is sing-songing to the baby, and they see steam rise from the diaper. They didn't take the diaper off. And it is, they wide-eyed realize what they've done, and they immediately try to take the diaper off. Now we're saved from the description, and thank you, David Foster Wallace, for it. We're saved of the description of what is under this diaper that has been burning completely this whole time, the whole story, the whole scene, the child. But it is a tale of inadequacy. And if you've never wept and want to, have a child, okay? That's what David Foster Wallace writes, and I can attest to that personally, because we're all inadequate for life, you know. We have a lot of work to do. We're brought into this world having a lot of work to do. We're all inadequate for life. And having a child will show you inadequacies all the time. You will make mistakes. You will make big mistakes. And learning and seeing that you have to forgive yourself for that it's part of being human, is part of our growth. And being willing to enter into that in conversation and to explore that is part of the human experience. At the end, and the reader is actually implicated in the inadequacy as well, because in line 8 of this story, at the very beginning, line 8 of the story, it says, Daddy had taken the scene in whole. He just walked in. The overturned pot on the floor tile before the stove, and the burner's blue jet, and the floor's pool of water still streaming at its as its many arms extended. The toddler in his baggy diaper standing rigid, with steam coming off his hair and his chest and shoulders scarlet, and his eyes rolled up, and the mouth opened very wide, and seeming somehow separate from the sounds that issued. Line 8. Line 8, we hear about the baggy diaper. And a page and a half later, when the baggy diaper had not been taken off and is still burning the child, we are just as shocked as those parents. So, I want to end this up by saying that how David Foster Wallace ends this is very, very unique as well. Whatever was lost thenceforth never mattered. Whatever was lost never thenceforth mattered. Why? Because the child has now kind of separated himself from his body. An event like this, an event that is completely painful, there's many examples of the person actually kind of separating themselves from their body and able to watch what's going on from a kind of removed observance, a kind of a witness consciousness. And that's what the kid does, and that's what it is said is how he lives his life from then on out. So we have a regular incarnation of a person that is a person who is firmly inside their body, that is stuck in this body right here. And then an incarnation of burned children who are by necessity, a kind of a survival necessity as well, separate from their body. And from then on out, and then the loss, whatever was lost, never thenceforth mattered again. Thank you, BookTube. I hope you enjoyed the analysis here. It was fun to do, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.